Great. Welcome, everyone. As we're joining in and as you join us, feel free to pop in the chat. Let us know where you're tuning in from today. We've got Jacqui here. Jacqui, you are from
New Hampshire.
With her beautiful background, which is her actual real life, is a picture of her real life background looks like that. I'm in New York. Let us know where you're from. Cool. California. This is an early webinar for you. Thank you for joining us. More California.
Montana.
Oh, I love that.
Pittsburgh.
Yeah, some more East Coast for us. Ooh, Atlanta. Love it. All right. Well, Jacqui, we've got a lot to talk about today and to cover. So people may still be joining in. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. We're going to get started, and just to let you know up front, this is going to be recorded. So if you need to drop off, don't worry about it. We're going to send you the recording link. I want to just take a moment to do introductions. I'm Stephanie, and I am from Healthie's team. I'm a registered dietitian, but I also work on the marketing team. And today we have the very incredible Jacqui Bryan with us. Jacqui is a registered nurse, a functional nutritionist, a certified health coach, a whole health educator, and a professional speaker. That's a lot of wonderful accolades. She takes a whole person approach to working with her clients. Jacqui works one-on-one in person with clients and virtually, but she's also hired by organizations to teach her programs and workshops all over the country. She's an amazing speaker. Jacqui is also a longtime Healthie member, and she has built a successful practice, including dozens of educational online programs and countless educational content. One aspect of Jacqui's business that makes her a clear success is her dedication to engaging and educating her clients. She uses motivational interviewing, cognitive behavioral therapy, and other forms of talk therapy to help her clients make positive changes. So today we are so lucky that Jacqui's going to share her business growth story and also, really key aspects on not only how she's leveraged Healthie, but just in general, how she engages with clients and is really able to make programs such a successful part of her practice. This is a talk shop, I'm calling it. So we're really not doing a PowerPoint, sharing our screens. It's really to take advantage of the time that we have here with Jacqui and to pick her brain and learn the most that we can from her. So Jacqui, thank you for being here with us today. We so appreciate it.
Thank you. I'm so excited. Hi, everybody. Great to have you here.
Shall we jump into our first question, our easy question? Why don't you just tell us a little bit more? Obviously, you have such an interesting healthcare background. So why don't you just tell us a little bit about how your healthcare provider path has led you to private practice?
Well, I'm thrilled to be here, Stephanie. Thank you. And I'd love to answer that question. So I've been a registered nurse for like 100 years. makes me very old. I worked critical care at Johns Hopkins in Maryland. So to your Maryland person in the participant panel there, hello. And I live in New Hampshire now, but I worked in critical care at Johns Hopkins. I worked at Leahy Clinic in Massachusetts and really loved that part of nursing. Went back to graduate school. I went to Tufts Medical School and got my master's degree there, and was working off and on doing some patient education programs for some pretty big companies outside of Boston. And then in 2003, I was dealt a pretty devastating diagnosis of breast cancer when I was 37. So for those of you that can do the math, I am 56 and very happy to be here. So I will share briefly that my prognosis wasn't fantastic. The cancer had spread to my lymph nodes. And as a nurse, I knew that I needed to do everything I could to try to save myself. So in a very, I get emotional sometimes when I talk about this. And I think it's probably it's nice to share this story as we're getting close to Breast Cancer Awareness Month, but in a really desperate attempt to save myself, I started educating myself, kind of building on my Western medicine background. I started learning nutrition tips and stress management techniques and anything that I could do to try to support my health to heal. And something pretty amazing happened. And some of you may have had experiences like this, but people started coming around and they were wondering, like, what are you learning? What is this all about? And this was really the birth of my company. So I've actually been in practice for about 12 to 13 years. And it was really the breast cancer catalyst that kind of got me going. That was the longest year of my life. I had 6 surgeries, 8 rounds of chemo, weeks of radiation, years of hormonal therapy, and then that whole redefining your new normal, trying to not be afraid all the time that the other ball was going to drop. And so this is a really long answer to your question, Stephanie, but I want to paint this stage that, we all get into this industry for different reasons, right? And I'm going to guess many of you are in this field because maybe something happened to you or a loved one, something that made you incredibly passionate about wanting to help people. So my path was Western medicine, and then I became a patient, which I just tell you right now, I'm not a good patient. Silencing my alarms all the time. And then I am a holistic practitioner. So I had the unique privilege of viewing health and wellness through those 3 different lenses as a Western medicine practitioner, a patient, and a holistic practitioner. And this is what I bring to the table for many of my clients and even my audiences when I do my program. So.
Thank you. And I know it takes a lot to share that story, and it's so meaningful. And I'm sure that it really resonates with a lot of us, because you're absolutely right. People become healthcare providers because healthcare is really important for us. Mm-hmm. And so, Jacqui, you're now at this point where you've become a health coach, functional nutritionist. You are now starting to speak with people. How did you know that starting your own business was the next logical step?
Well, that was, I didn't really know. If you put my name next to entrepreneur, they just would never have fit. That was not something that I ever thought I would do. My husband is an entrepreneur, very successful. And that was not something that I thought that I wanted, but I really stumbled into this, and I stumbled into this field before it was a thing. Right. I mean, I think all of us know that we can Google health coach or, nutritionist, and, thousands of names and sources pop up. I was doing this kind of before it was a thing. And it really started in this effort to try to heal myself. And I had no idea what I was doing. Honestly, I am truly from the school of hard knocks. I would go one way and something would screw up. I'm like, yeah, not going to do that again. And then I go another way. So it's something for me that I learned through trial and error, that this was what I wanted to do, and that they needed us. So if I can just put a big exclamation point, we are needed. For all of you on the call today, we need help in our society, especially now that doctors are not able to spend the same amount of time that they can with their patients, nor do they have the resources to be able to share and engage their patients in a way that's going to improve their health. And now we've got this revolving door. Patients are leaving the hospital sicker, they're coming back quicker, and we've got a real issue. So our job, and I see this as probably one of the most important jobs that I'm so privileged to do, is that this practice of mine is something that keeps people out of the hospital. And as someone who has worn those patient shoes, that's really important to me. And also, to see the results. I'm sure some of you out there have had incredible client results where they have maybe got off their blood pressure medications or reduced their metformin. They're not on diabetic medication, or maybe they lost some weight and now they can play with their kids. I mean, we know that those are the wins. Those are the things that we get into this industry for. So that's the main reason I started it. And where it is today is so different than what I ever thought it would be. And I don't even think this was available 15 years ago. I mean, this type of a platform. So I'm so thankful to have it as a part of my toolbox for my clients.
Let's talk about your toolbox, because I know that content, and really of the conversation today, that content is really integral to your practice. And so why don't you just tell us a little bit more about how valuable content is and how you got started with content? What type of content were you creating?
No, that's a great question. So first of all, I think all of us are super good with content. I mean, we've gone to school, we have lots of knowledge. The problem is, how do we apply it, and how do we help our patients apply it to their life, make it applicable to what they're doing? I will say that content is incredibly important, but connection is critical. And so many providers, as I said, we've got great information, but we don't necessarily know how to engage and connect with our clients. I am a professional speaker. I've been trained that way. I have had the honor and privilege of presenting many of my popular programs all over the country. I was being flown around to teach these programs, and now I'm doing them all virtually. So nice to be able to stay in your pajama bottoms when you're doing a presentation. I'm like, this is great. You all have no idea what I have on underneath this top. I'm sorry, I'm digressing a little bit.
Right.
So so one thing to have great content. The second thing is to be able to engage and connect. So some of the content that I've created that have been really successful, my gut health was very popular. I wrote a program called Chew on This, it's still a bestseller. I do ones on blood sugar balance, anti-inflammatory living. I have a program that I've trademarked on stress, and I've presented that all over. I do ones on environmental toxins, things that people don't necessarily think about, talking about obesogens. And for my audience, it's so enlightening for them, because sometimes they realize that maybe they're doing a lot of things right, but there's a few extra things that they can tweak, and that makes all the difference in the world for them to help improve their health and their family's health. And so, I think, the big $1 million question is, what program should I create? Like, how do you find out what is the best way to create a program? You have to be able to look at what the hot topics are. Many of you probably know microbiome is a hot topic right now, blood sugar balance, anti-inflammatory living, and even immune system. I think we are all dialed into immune system. So my content is something that I was always looking for a way to, I would present these 60 and 90-minute workshops, and I didn't want it to end. I mean, I still create and content, and I still present these, but I have hundreds of programs that I have been able to put together. And I really, before joining Healthie, I wasn't quite sure what to do with all of these. And so that was something that I found really valuable in having Healthie as part of my team.
I definitely want to delve more into programs and sort of just structure and what type of content you put in there. But first, I really want to talk about recycling content. It was something that you're super passionate about, and I think is just really valuable for healthcare providers to know about how to make the most of their content.
Yes. Yeah. It's, I'm a big fan of not having to recreate the wheel. And I really want to have a good quality of life. And I think probably all of us can admit that we've spent hours and hours and hours of researching and putting things together. And so if you can take content that you already have and be able to utilize it in different ways, that's really one of the best ways to go. So as I said, Healthie gave me a platform that I could actually store my programs. And so these programs I shared with you that I present around the country are usually like 60 to 90 minutes long. I've done up to an 8-hour workshop before, but mostly 60 to 90 minutes long. And so the way I recycle it is and these are beautiful PowerPoints that, I've had professionally done and trademarked and copywritten and all that kind of stuff, but I will record snippets of these presentations. And so imagine all of you out there, say you wrote a anti-inflammatory workshop, and in that anti-inflammatory program, you had a segment on maybe blood sugar balance. And it was, maybe 5 to 10 minutes of that program. So what I did is I take and I record a small segment of one of those recommendations, and I create mini presentations. Now you're probably wondering, like, how do I use those? Well, I use those as content to support my current clients in between sessions. So our clients come to us and they are working with us one-on-one, but when they're apart from us, they flounder, right? Stuff happens, life gets in the way. And it's nice for them to have content that they can go in, that I unlock for them, that they can view, that I think may be supportive of their healthcare journey. So for example, I have little snippets on things like magnesium's role in the body, or vitamin D, sleep. I have even a COVID-19 one where, you know, how to support immunity during this challenging time. I have one on gut health, blood sugar balance, and even the thinking thin, you know, people that are trying to lose weight and they start floundering because someone put a cupcake in front of them, right? So what can we do to resist that temptation? So these little 10 to 20-minute snippets are a way that I can help my clients while we're apart, because you know, ultimately we are all in this to have, you know, good client outcomes. We want our clients to do well, because that, when a client sings your praises, that is the best way to bring in more business, and it feels good. I mean, we want to be able to help these people. I also create content that I run multiple times a year. For example, I just did a clean eating program, and actually I've got one more week left of it. It was a 6-week program. It started after Labor Day, and all I need to do, so it's a live program, and participants, we meet one time a week. They get an email from me every day. So again, engaging. I always put a call to action in my emails. So write me back and let me know what you did today to improve your sleep. Or, you know, let me know how things are going. Are you feeling okay? You know, and you engage them so that they write you back. And again, that keeps their goals on the front burner, which is really, really important. But once you run that program, once I run that program, a live program, and meet with them, I have oftentimes a recording, and then I can actually make this a on-demand program. I can transition it into a different one. The other piece that I like to do with my programming is to make sure that I'm engaging my clients by asking for those call to action. So if you think about yourself and think about how you change behavior, I think that I always think empathy is the best way to go when it comes to understanding how to work with clients. If we remember that we are them and that change is hard, and what would help me possibly would be an email, somebody checking in with me, maybe a call to action. And that's some of the way that I use my content moving forward.
Jacqui, I can't resist, but we talked about this when we were just talking about the general topics and what we were going to cover today. And unfortunately, guys, we can't have Jacqui share her Healthie account. She's got real clients in there. It violates HIPAA. But Jacqui, can you just talk about in your charting note, that section that you have a checklist for all the types of content, educational content. Can you just tell us how you keep track of what you've already shared with one-on-one clients?
Right. Yeah, it's a good question. First of all, I'm not that smart. So I find that as my practice grew and I had more and more clients, that I would forget things. And even though I took really incredible notes when I was working with my clients, I really would get anxious because I'm like, did I give them this form? I can't remember if I shared that information on blood sugar. What about the prebiotics? I just can't remember if I did this or not. So I created a form in Healthie that lists out by systems: blood sugar, gut health, stress, weight loss, some of my favorite handouts. And I did it as a pre-fill. So, and some of you may not know these features. And if you don't, contact the amazing Healthie support team. They will teach you, because that's what I did. I've been in Healthie college for a while now. And so the form I created under each one of these systems was a checkbox for each of my favorite handouts. So I might have under blood sugar balance. I might have, combining fat, fiber, and protein, or, a nut handout that they're a perfect food that, connects, if you're not allergic to them, that helps with the balance of blood sugar. So going through and having this checkbox helped keep me organized, and also gave me an indication as to our next session with the client, like what are some things that I could build on if they already have this foundation. I mean, so much of what we do as practitioners is in layers. We start setting the stage and we want to build on their knowledge base and be able to support them moving forward. And so in the case of that form, it just makes it much easier for me to keep track and stay organized. So thank you for bringing that up, Stephanie.
Yeah, absolutely. And then just a quick question from our audience, and to let you guys know, you could put your questions in chat in the Q&A. A lot of you provided questions in your registration form when you registered. So we're going to be covering a lot of those in our Q&A in a few minutes. But Jacqui, a question from our audience is that a field in one of your follow-up notes, or is it a special form that you've created and you just review, that you check off?
Right. So I created a form that has my last session note at the top, and this was just the way my brain works. This is not for everybody. So I have a last session note. I have ideas for this current session, and then I have a current session note. And then underneath that, I have all the boxes. So I have everything on one page when I'm working with the client. So that system works for me. And I have it set up as a pre-fill, so everything kind of carries forward. And it may not be for everybody. You can certainly create your own setup, but for me, it works really well at staying organized and just remembering what we talked about in the last session. If I've got about 40 active clients right now that I'm working with on a regular basis, and you forget. It's not that they're forgettable, but it's just you're busy, and I just want to make sure that I stay on top of that. And I write a nice, note as well, just making sure that I know what I covered, but it's just a nice way to know what you've covered in the past as well.
Right, because no one wants to be like, did I send you this handout? You get this one from me, right? Especially when you're creating.
Right.
Genius. And if anyone wants help building a form, or you're not sure what pre-fill means, which just means that it will actually copy over the content from the previous note version of that note. It will pull it into the new note. So if you have any questions, just send an email, hello@gethealthy.com. Our support team, our success team is there to help you share resources. So there's lots to share and little tricks, but I particularly love that detail, Jacqui.
I do think, Stephanie, too, that for those of you that are using Healthie, I'm growing with Healthie. And I love the fact every time you unlock a new feature or something, I get on a call with one of your support team. Emma and I are friends, and we, I sit down, I'm like, okay, tell me how to build this out, or what's the best way to utilize this feature. And I like to understand workarounds, to make my life simple. And so I mean, truthfully, I schedule maybe once every other month, and I have it on the calendar, and I keep a record of questions I have for Healthie, and then I will just do it in our Zoom meeting. But your support team is so responsive. Even if you just send an email, you get a response right back, which I think is to me, that was a really important quality that Healthie offered over other, client management software platforms as well.
And I will definitely mention, I'll pop it in the chat as well. If you have not done any of the live classes, if you're new to programs, you've never even tried out programs before, there's also a live class on client engagement. Sign up for the live classes. They run every week. They're hosted by our amazing success team. And and you can take them as many times as you want so that you really can understand the workflows and how to use the platform. So just moving into programs, Jacqui, because we still have so much we want to cover today, I wanted to talk about just sort of the value of programs. And I also wanted to ask you about fixed date and rolling start programs, because this is the point of confusion when you're even creating a program, right? How do you set up a program? Does it have a start and an end date, or is it one of those rolling programs? So would love if you could just share a little bit more on that.
Right, right. Well, I mean, first of all, I think programs are important for any practitioner, because I do think that they offer a almost like a funnel for your one-on-one business, and it gives you the opportunity to reach more people. I run fixed programs all throughout the course of the year. And so, as I shared with you earlier, I just did a clean eating program. Each day, participants receive an email. You're on day one of this clean eating challenge. It's a supportive email. I always have a call to action. And I encourage you all that when you put together any of your programs, whether it be fixed start or rolling start, ask for a call to action. That's one way of really engaging your clients. And that is really critical when it comes to success of any programming, and even you as a independent practitioner. But the fixed start program has a start date. And, January 1st, 2022, maybe you're going to launch a new program. That's the start, ready, set, go. And then you can program into the fixed start date when you want the material released. And it could be, you have a welcome. I usually have a welcome letter go out first. And then from there, I'll time it out maybe 2 to 3 days later before the first class. I'll say, get ready, we're starting tomorrow, but it's automated. It automatically goes to the client. The nice thing about that as well is that as your client purchases a package, you can set up the package so they immediately get enrolled in the program. They immediately get on the live class calendar. I mean, talk about making your life so much easier. And if this feels a little intimidating to you, the support team can kind of help you through, just helping you understand how these kind of work. Once I've done a fixed start program, again, I told you I don't like recreating the wheel necessarily. I want to be able to take my content and use it. I might use it for those little snippets I talked about. But more often than not, I'll roll it into a rolling start program. And rolling start program means people can start at any time. And there's a couple of ways that you can use these rolling start programs and fixed start programs. But the rolling start, I like to use I'll offer it on my website as, you can join this program anytime you want. And you just program the material that was the fixed start program to be a little bit more generic for the rolling start. It might not have the specific date in there, but the email support and everything else that you're asking, those call to action, can be very much the same as what you had for the fixed start. And that rolling start program becomes like an on-demand program. It's a wonderful way to generate recurring revenue. So you've created the program. You're in a situation now where you're able to have people just sign up and go through the program, and you can support them through the Healthie app or something along that line. But I do think that being able to understand the difference between fixed and rolling start, and I use both of them frequently. I will offer them to my one-on-one clients. If I have somebody that's really in a slump and they're like, I need a little boost, I'll say, hey, I'm going to throw you in this program. It's like a little gift, right? And so I had a boss years ago when I worked for a medical company. I had a boss that said to me, sometimes we treat our best customers the worst. And that's kind of stuck with me, because sometimes we take advantage of the people that come back and see us all the time. And it is true. I mean, think about our loved ones. Sometimes we treat them badly if we're having a bad day. But the best gift you can give your client is say, hey, I'm gonna throw you into this stress class, and no charge. I want to give this to you as a gift. And you would think you gave them the world. It feels really, really nice for them. So there's so many different ways that you can use programming, whether fixed start, rolling start. So I think it's really a wonderful tool to add into that toolbox we're talking about.
That toolbox. And
Yeah.
just to clarify for anyone who's sort of a little bit new to programs within Healthie and a lot of educational program tools, what you can do is take content like documents, PDFs, videos, alongside emails, and basically program them to send out to a client. And within Healthie, they can see, sort of like taking an online course, they can see, oh, hey, I have a new module, called modules, right? I have a new
Right.
module I can see and I can access. They can do this from the app. They can do this from the web, but they'll also get those emails and notifications directly to their email. So Jacqui's taking that content and it's dripping out and sending to these clients, either her existing clients or program participants. There was, we really want to cover this topic. because I think it's so huge. We also have an audience question here. Jacqui, let's talk about client engagement alongside a program. In particular, do you offer live classes, group classes with your programs? And what are some of the other ways that you engage with your audience alongside the program?
So engagement is everything, right? I mean, it really is what differentiates us from, a box program. I mean, anybody can buy a program, buy a book at the bookstore, figure it out. But what makes us special is us, what we do to connect with the clients that help them keep their goals on the front burner and not with everyday challenges that get in the way, it gives them the opportunity to stay on track. So, and truthfully, engagement to me as a provider just feels nicer. I don't know, I'm sure all of you feel that way, like just to give somebody a handout and say, see ya, that just doesn't work. And if you think of yourself as the client, it doesn't necessarily work for you as well. So I think of Healthie as a team member of mine almost, and it makes me be a better patient advocate. And, for any of these programs, one shoe does not fit all. And we may put together a program for our clients, and that program may be, a nice umbrella overview of the topic, but that engagement allows you to tailor it to the specific needs of your client, which gives them the opportunity to be more successful, right? If you're telling somebody you've got to eat a certain food and they're allergic to it, that's not going to necessarily work. So engaging the client is key, and it helps us keep them consistent. And I think we would all agree that consistency is really key. And so you asked the question about engagement. Do you want me to share some of the tools of Healthie that help with engagement?
Yeah, I think so. We're all Healthie members here, so I think that's super useful.
Yeah, I mean, I think, so the daily email support or email support whenever you think that it might help. Group chats. So in my live clean eating challenge that I'm doing now, we're doing a live group chat. The program is also offered as a recording for those people that can't make the set time that we have the live program, which is great. Now I recorded the program a year ago. So, I just have to be there for the live content, but those people that aren't there, they can watch it as a recording. If you're curious about how the recording is done, people do it different ways. The way that I found easier for me is to record it to my computer with a nice little background like I have here. Maybe I'm sharing a PowerPoint, I record it to my computer, I upload it to Vimeo, and I create a password, and my Vimeo account is private and it's not a public, can't view it. And then I take that and I plug it into the Healthie forms, and I create this beautiful display where they have the nice video, and then they have any handouts that complement that video just below it. So it's clean looking and very professional looking. But I use the recordings frequently just because it's if you think about how people learn, it's just a different touch point. It's a different way to reach them. You have the one-on-one engagement if you're doing it via telehealth, but then you also have a way to follow up with them, maybe when they're in a different type of environment, more relaxed and maybe more receptive to some of the material. Other ways I engage them are, appointment reminders. I think one of the pain points that I had from prior to being a Healthie member was I had to text from my personal phone. I used to keep documentation in different places. I mean, it was safe and protected, but it wasn't as organized as I would like to be. Other things that you can do with Healthie to engage them are setting the goals and letting them check it off. That action, I love to check boxes off. Clearly from the forms that we talked about earlier, Stephanie, I am a box checker. I like box checking. So you can also talk to them about journaling and tracking. And I love explaining to them that Healthie is your portal. And I think everybody now gets what patient portals are all about, but it's your portal that we can keep all of this personal information safe. It's HIPAA compliant, but it's also a place that we can look at all of your metrics. We can track your A1C, we can track your weight, your waist circumference, how you slept, what your bowel movements look like. I mean, there's just so many different options that people can use. So engaging people also happens when we can get them to track. And I found that when people are tracking even just a metrics or connecting their activity device, that I engage them, I always comment. I'll make a little statement, like, great job on the elliptical today, or, tell me what you think you could do different in this challenging situation. And it just gives them the reminder that they're not alone, because behavior change is hard, and it is something that can feel very lonely. So I think that's really helpful when they have that connection with us. Again, that differentiates us from the rest of the pack.
Absolutely. And I think all of that is just so helpful, and what you can't really get through in a traditional EHR. And I'm sure many of us were using a more clinical or traditional EHR. And that's, I think, what sets Healthie apart, is that we can really engage and provide this care, not just during session, but between sessions. And, personally, I see it make all the difference. So Jacqui, let's just talk about making sure we covered everything here in our little list. We have quite a few questions from our Q&A that we might just want to switch gears and talk into. But before I talk about our Q&A, which a lot of you, like we mentioned earlier, provided questions in advance. So we've got a list here. And if you do have any other questions, you can pop it into the question box, the Q&A box. But I just wanted to mention a couple things. One is that Jacqui is also, apart from everything that she does, all of her speaking engagements or private practice working with clients, she's also a very great mentor, and she is available for professional to professional consults. So if you feel like you're, drowning a little bit, you're not really sure how to get started, whether it's with your practice or content creation, you are able to reach out to Jacqui. I'm going to drop the link into the chat. If you're not watching this live, don't worry, it's going to be in the webinar recording email. But Jacqui, do you just want to take a minute to speak to your professional consultation?
Sure. So, I found over the course of being in this industry for many years that as my practice grew and became more successful, I had a lot of people contacting me and asking to, learn a little bit more about what are some of the tricks and strategies that you can use to not only get into this industry, but if you have a current practice, boost the practice. And so that's really what I try to do, is I work with people to try to help them build their practice to be exactly what they want, and even more than what they dreamed of. The link that you're putting in Healthie or in the chat box right now is actually, you'll see on that page, is a video. I think it's like 50 minutes long, and it offers some great tips. So even if you don't contact me, about the professional consults, it might be something of interest to you. So you can certainly go on that page. It was an interview that was done through the National Society of Health Coaches, and it just really talks about strategies for building your business. So it might be of value to some people. But the thing that's really kind of fun about Healthie, and I would advise you all to do this, is that I create accounts for everything. So if I'm working with somebody in a professional consult, I create documentation and notes, and I even have forms for those people that I actually work with as for the professional consults. Stephanie, I even created an account for you. So when we had our conversation, I wrote out my notes in there, and that way I have just one place that I go and I get all of my information. So it's a really helpful tool for me just to stay organized. I mean, I can be, traveling, and I can still access all this information, which to me is really freeing and incredibly valuable. But if anyone's interested, please reach out to me. I'm happy to talk to you more. I just do a 15-minute consult on the phone. And if I don't think I'm the person that can help you, I certainly can give you some ideas of what direction you can go to get the help that you need to build your practice. So.
Great. And so let's switch. Let's go into our Q&A. We have quite a few questions there. And I just wanted to share two disclaimers really quickly. One is that Jacqui is providing sort of just general feedback. So as we mentioned earlier, she can't share her screen, particularly because of, HIPAA compliance with her actual clients. We did get quite a few questions about specifically what to put in a type of program. If you want help with your content or your programs, reach out to Jacqui through that link, and that's where you can really pick her brain for just one-on-one information. The second thing is we did get quite a few questions about Living Plate programs and content. Jacqui, I
Mhm.
know you're also a Living Plate member.
Yes.
This, just to let you all know, this is an integration with Living Plate, which is a meal planning service. And if you're a Living Plate Prime member, you also get access to Living Plate programs, which will be in Healthie. Jeannie Petrucci, which runs, she is the owner of Living Plate. She's going to be giving a separate talk later this month on how to edit your programs and use your programs. I think quite a few people, I know it's very exciting, this integration. We're still in beta, but Jeannie's going to be giving a special talk just on Living Plate and Living Plate programs. So we're not going to cover that today, and it's all very exciting. So Jacqui, our first question, which has popped up quite a bit, how do you manage the content yourself, creating your own content and let's say programs, or do you have expert help or a virtual assistant that helps you with content?
So I'm able to manage the content myself. And, I do pace myself. If I know I've got a program that I'm going to, like, I've already planning my program for January, I just kind of start building it now and start putting things together for that particular month. I do a lot of corporate wellness. So I also try to build programs that, um, you know, I think it needs my personal touch. And so, yes, I do my own content and build that into the pricing of, if somebody hires me to present for them for a company, I do build in my time. Your time is valuable and you are worth something. So I think the price, for pricing in private practitioners, that's a bit of a challenge at times because sometimes we don't see what our worth is. And so I build in the price for what I do to put in for that content. Now, in the case where I'm recycling information, it's really fairly quick and easy to do. And that's why I highly encourage you to get into some of those Healthie live classes, or even book a one-on-one if you can with one of their amazing support team, because it just gives you the chance to, like, I will go on with Emma. I did this yesterday actually, and I shared my screen with her and I said, okay, this is what I want to do. What's the quickest way to do it? And she was kind of helping me do that. And again, this is me growing with Healthie. So that's what, I'm hoping to accomplish. So in answer to your question, yes, I do my own content right now. If I got much bigger, I'll see, but I think right now it's working the way it is.
Great. And one really interesting question was sort of just picking your brain a bit on how you develop a program series, sort of a part 2 or a part 3 of a program. Could you just speak to that a little bit?
Yes, yeah, that's a great question. I'll look at what the hot topics are, for the most part. So, for example, I put together a weight management program, and I did it as a series. It was a 4-part series, and it was a different look at losing weight. And each week had a theme. So the umbrella was the weight management program, but then the first week was about blood sugar balance. The next week was about gut health. The third week was about stress management. And then the fourth week was about movement and activity. So what it did was it kind of put a nice, neat little bow around the big topic, but it broke it down into small segments. And the way I marketed it was, when I did the flyer, I'd do a bullet that would give a kind of a cool, catchy thing, from each class, like, what does gut microbiome have to do with the muffin top, or, you come up with something that kind of brings it, really gets people excited about it. And again, you always, whenever you're developing any programs, you always want to make sure that you're letting people know what they're going to get out of it, right? It's nice to have the information, but what the heck do I do with it once I have it? So that's the piece that I think is really important, is making sure that people understand with any of the workshops that you're going to present, that there are going to be action steps, strategies, and a plan for them to pull off some of these. So I would have whatever series you decide you're going to do, decide on the main topic. And then what are the building blocks that you want them to learn over the course of that period of time? There's lots of different options, and all of you, I'm sure, have all different types of skill levels. Sometimes I suggest to people to start with things that you're most comfortable with. I work a lot with cancer patients for obvious reasons. But I'm building a brain health program right now, and, I've done gut health programs. So find different ways that you can pull together important topics. If you think about the way our bodies work, everything's connected, right? So helping them understand even that connection is going to be really important.
Well, we only have a couple minutes. I do want to just ask, because we did get quite a few Q&A questions about client engagement and particularly using community chat, which I know we
Mhm.
mentioned a little bit earlier. So could you just share just ways that you get participants really engaged with community chat and how you use community chat in general?
So I love community chat. And I'm going to tell you right now that I don't do any of the Facebook groups or any of those with my clients because it makes me really nervous. I love the community chat. I have two chats going right now. One is with the Clean Eating Challenge, and not everybody's into it. I've got about 15 people that are just loving it right now, and they will write out, they'll put in a recipe, they'll put a picture in there, they'll ask the group a question. I had a woman that was just traveling this weekend, and she's like, what are some snacks that I can bring? And it gives them a sense of community. Now, here's the nice thing: as the practitioner, it takes a little pressure off of you. Of course, I chime into the chat, but it's nice to have other people share what their expertise is. I mean, we don't know everything. I always believe the client is the expert on themselves. And oftentimes people will share things that are incredibly valuable to the group. And when somebody has a question, oftentimes somebody else has the same question. Now, how do I get people to use the chat? That might be the big question where, yeah, the chat's a great idea, Jacqui, but how do I get people to use it? That call to action. So when you are doing your emails, your program emails, so, hey, Stephanie, it's day 1 of your clean eating challenge. Type into the chat and tell me how your day was, or, so ask them to respond. And you have to ask. I mean, we are not here to please our clients. We are here to serve them and support them. And so we want to give them the information, but we also want to get them engaged and sharing. And when they become engaged and they share whatever part of their story they're comfortable with, and I do say that in the chat, I say this is a group chat. Please don't share anything that you're uncomfortable with. Your information is protected within the group. Sometimes I'll set group guidelines. I'll say this is a safe place. You want to be kind, and make sure that people understand that this is a place that we are all learning and growing, including me. I learned so much from my clients. I mean, that to me is such a gift. But I think the group chats are so incredibly valuable. So I would highly, if you haven't used them, I would highly recommend using them, and people really like them. And you can get people going by not only the email that you send through the program, but you typing into the chat, how's everybody doing today? And then encourage people to make sure they have the app on their phone so it's easy for them to access it, that they don't have to keep logging in and all that kind of stuff. So
I want to just recap for everybody who's tuned in, because I think this is just so important to list out the ways that Jacqui engages and adds engagement to her programs. She mentioned program emails and including call to actions, right, which is the step you want someone to take in that email. She mentioned community chat, starting a group chat that her participants can use and engaging in it. Other members here mentioned that they will schedule chats to send out, and you can do that, which is such a time saver. Journaling and tracking, goal setting, and even adding live classes that program participants can join in. So all of that, did I get most of those, Jacqui?
You did. Yes. Yeah. I think the big thing with Healthie too, from a quality of life standpoint, I mean, ultimately, Healthie makes us look professional to our clients, which I think is so important. I mean, we are in a real business, and it lets clients know their information is safe. But also, everybody out there that's using Healthie, your quality of life matters. We need to put that oxygen mask on ourselves first. And so I think using a client management software like this gives us the chance to make things a little simpler for us, keeps us looking professional, but it allows us a little bit more, to me, it allows us more freedom so that we can have a good quality of life, which ends up bringing a better us to the client exchange. And so it's a win-win for all.
Absolutely. And when we talked one-on-one, Jacqui, it really stuck with me, but you mentioned that, with creating programs, creating your content, running your practice the way that you do allows you to have a quality of life that you really enjoy. And so I just thank everybody. I know we're over on time here, but I just want to thank everybody for joining today. And I hope that you really took away some of these really valuable information that Jacqui said, because I do think it allows us to sort of replicate ourselves as healthcare professionals, reach more people, save time, right? And have a better quality of life. It's a really great approach to running a practice. If you did not hear earlier, Jacqui is available for one-on-one professional consults. That link is in the chat. If you missed it, don't worry about it. We're going to send it out with the webinar recording, and the link will be included there. You can also email hello@gethealthy.com with any questions. There is the link to the live classes. So if you want any support, email hello@gethealthy.com. You can get one-on-one support. You can join live classes. If you need to change your plan so that you have access to programs, if you want to enroll in integrations like Living Plate, shoot us an email. We are here to help you. We respond very quickly. And Jacqui, I just want to thank you so much for your
Thank
time.
you.
This was so educational and informative and just incredible.
Thank you. This is so much fun. Bye, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. And feel free to shoot us a message if you have questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.